All right, everybody, welcome back. Tonight we're looking at a Dell Optiplex 3010 with the Core i5 built for Windows 7. I've got a couple of things we're going to try with this. First off, we're going to, of course, do our typical will it boot since we've got a hard drive connected. But I also happen to have a Core i5 I rescued from the recycler that I'm not sure if it works. So we're going to give that one a shot in here once we confirm that this is bootable. And I've also got this hard drive, which I believe came out of a laptop, but it will connect to this system, and it just so happens that this is one of the first ones that might be bootable that we might be able to try and see if that hard drive still works. If it does, that would be pretty cool, something to play around with anyway. Likewise, this machine's in really nice shape. It's really clean in here. This is probably a good contender for one just to have for testing purposes, for any kind of, SATA stuff, because it's all equipped with SATA, and as a Windows 7 machine, it's fairly competitive. It's a Core i5, so it's not too terribly outdated. We can test good memory modules and stuff in here too, and we can probably expand this system out and maybe make it workable or usable for something in the future. So first thing we're going to do, of course, is give her the old power up, make sure everything works. You can see with just power on, we had some response from the fan, so that's great. And we'll go ahead and hit our power button here and see what happens. Got some hard drive sounds. That's a Dell boot up logo. The amount of system memory has changed. Okay, well, let's go ahead and enter the setup utility. If this will respond, there we go. Okay, oh, interesting. So the setup utility has a mouse capability. I guess with all the retro machines I look at, you don't get functionality like this very often. So memory installed, 2 gigs, DDR3, so fairly modern. The DIMM slot is empty. The second slot, of course, has one installed. 3.2 gigahertz, i5 3470. It's a quad core, so fairly capable system overall, especially since a lot of the stuff that I use is not fairly modern. We have a SATA drive connected. I did not connect the optical drive, so that all looks pretty normal. I didn't screw down the heatsink for the processor, so it might be running a little bit warmer than normal, but nothing too outrageous right now. So I think at this point, let's just go ahead and see if it boots to Windows. Wow, that's a powerful processor fan. The gust of wind that just came off of that as it booted up was pretty intense. So let's go ahead and start Windows normally. So far, so good. And Windows 7 Professional. We've got an admin, a bookkeeper, and scans. Not sure if we'll be able to get into any of these if we have password protections, but let's try the admin. And let's see, if the admin password is admin, we might have ourselves a heck of a chuckle here tonight. Well, the password is incorrect, so loud sound or loud sound or bang. Loud sound or, well, we'll have to crack this password at some point. But we do know that it boots, so that's great, and boots up fairly quickly. So This is actually a pretty decent system. I'm really surprised to have found this at a recycler, but I guess as a business, assuming that we have a bookkeeper here, they probably have a life cycle upgrade. So, win for me, win for everybody. Let's see if we can get logged in. If not, we're going to go ahead and try out that processor and the hard drive and just see if those work. All right, so it does boot up and the backdoor password trick does work. Now again, I rescue these machines with the purpose of playing with the hardware, trying to preserve bootables so I can make these computers usable for my own purposes. I am not interested in anybody's personal data or business data. In this case, somebody left a lot of data on this computer, so I will be wiping it to preserve their safety and security. Again, that is not my intention. I'm not looking for this kind of stuff, but if it's there, I'm making sure people are protected. And I would hope that any of you out there that dumpster dive or find computers that run into this, I mean, this is a fine trick to use to get in, you know, to get past the password protection. But please do the right thing and wipe off any information you find. You know, it's one thing if it's got Microsoft Office and you keep using that. I mean, that's not a big deal, but personal information should be protected. So to all you retro fans out there, please do the right thing. Our community is full of great people, and I would think that all of them would do the same. So with that being said, we have a lot of hardware to play with that I'd like to get tested out to see if it works. And we're going to go ahead and use this machine to play around with and just see if we can test a few things. Alrighty, so we did the set HC trick here so we can get in the back door and get this one booted. So just want to make sure that, one, this trick works. If you're not familiar with it, there is a very handy video out here on YouTube, set HC. You can find the video just by typing in how to access Windows 7 if you forgot your password, which in this case, this is essentially a recycler find. So that's all I'll say about that. All right, now we just have to do the rest of the trick and go from there. So this is a little funny that my retro friends might enjoy. This is a Core i5 I pulled out of another system, and I was thinking, well, back in the day, processor's a processor, right? Well, this one here does not seem to fit in this slot, even though it's keyed relatively properly. It's just a little too large. So interesting, just knowledge for me, I guess, not playing around with these modern processors too much, is that they're not as universal as maybe they once were with some of those older machines. So I guess we don't get to test out this i5, but I had this DDR3 RAM stick from one of the machines I opened up the other day. I've got 4 of these, which is a total of 32 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, which is a fantastic amount of DDR3 RAM. So that machine I thought I was just going to scrap, I might end up turning into a server of some kind. So interesting there, but we should be able to still fire up both the RAM stick to test it and the little laptop hard drive to see if we can get that installed in the system and see if it works. So maybe not the ideal hard drive setup, I guess, but we're going to just fire it up and see if it works. Worst case scenario, it doesn't. I literally pulled it out of a dumpster, so that being said, I mean, I'd love to see it work because I think it's neat that it has no protective casing, but I would like to, you know, hopefully use it for good at some point. So we'll go ahead and fire it up, and now that we have the admin password changed, of course, we should be able to run it through. And I think we're just going to try and continue without worrying about the onboard memory changing. The good news is this memory does appear to be confirmed as working. And this is going to be quite the upgrade because there was a 2 gigabyte stick installed. We've got 8 gigs in there now. Okay, so it is checking the file system, I assume, on the disk we've just connected here. And it's solid state, so this should go rather quickly. I'd love to know what size this drive is. If it's just a dinky little thing, it may not be worth much, but if I could get it rigged up to boot quick to Windows to just test maybe some of the systems I get that don't have hard drives, it would be great. So far, the verification went through just fine. Check disk is running real fast. I definitely think that's a testament to our memory upgrade. And of course, we have a quad-core system running here. Really impressed, honestly. Index entries. I have to be honest, I've never seen check disk run this fast. If anybody's seen it run faster than this, hit me up in the comments, because I'd be very curious to know the details of that. I remember running check disk on much older systems and having it take hours. So this is kind of inspiring to see. I haven't had to run it on any of my modern systems that I've built or purchased because, well, honestly, they typically don't have issues and they don't get the use that they did years ago when I was a little bit more hardcore into computing. But I mean, so far, this is an impressive system. I'm surprised. I did just briefly look through some of the files that are on the system. They were accessed last in 2020. So that just tells me that this was a very recently competitively running system. Odd that it is only a Windows 7 system, but nothing wrong with that. It's a fine operating system. I personally have the latest version of Windows on my normal computer that I do most of my work and business on, but everything else seems to be running fine. And check disk is nearly complete, so this is really cool to see this go so quickly. Is pretty amazing. It does look like now it is going to check the other disk here. In that case, we're just going to let it go through. Everything looks fine. And we should boot solidly to Windows here with no issues. And then we can get a look at this hard drive. So, happily to reporting here that this strange little hard drive, I mean, again, I dug it essentially out of a dumpster. It's a giant box of scrapped motherboards, riser cards, DVD players, optical drives, all sorts of stuff that was essentially considered garbage. And so if I have a nice working solid state drive, I mean, even if it's a smaller one or an older one, solid state drives are great for little boot drives, so it'd be really nice to get that working. Okay, so I don't care about that. Again, don't care about any of this. So, the local disk we've added should be this one here. So it looks to be a 60 gig hard drive, which is pretty nice. And okay, looks like whoever had it wasn't using it all that long ago. Oh, what's this here? Okay, Windows 7 is out of support. Well, that's totally fine. So yeah, we've got some pretty interesting stuff here. We'll probably have to clean this drive up, but this one actually looks bootable. So we may have to just throw this into a system and just see if it boots. This being the case, if I can get this to boot, I do have the machine where this RAM stick came out of that does not have a hard drive and has adequate space where I feel like I could safely mount this unprotected drive and, you know, also mount several other hard drives I picked up from the recycler here and use them for whatever I want. So pretty cool. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification button to stay up to date on all of my content. I will be doing a lot more soon. I'm actually starting to run out of new towers to break into. I've kind of gone through most of the ones that I've picked up. Certainly, so far, all the bootable ones, but I think I have 3, maybe 4 left that I haven't gotten into. One I'm just waiting on a 14-pin cord to arrive. The other 3 I haven't cracked into yet. So we've got a few more of those coming. And then a few cleanup videos. We'll probably do something with this case I keep talking about where this RAM stick came out of. And beyond that, we'll have to see what else we find at the recycler coming up. Again, if you like this, hit subscribe. You can also find more of my content over at the Digital Escape podcast page here on YouTube. We also are available on Podbean, Stitcher, and other associated platforms, including Spotify. And feel free to check us out. We're weekly episodic. We're also running a YouTube exclusive podcast here, so definitely hit subscribe over on that page. That podcast is called the Warp Core Podcast, a Digital Escape podcast exclusive, where we talk all things Star Trek. Again, I am Urza Master. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.